Ciao friends, I'm Shelley from Shelley Skincare, and thank you so much for joining my channel today. I'm going to be talking with you about, should you wax yourself at home? Should you do a DIY waxing? The pros and the cons. So at the end of this, you'll be able to make a good decision on whether you should or shouldn't. So again, I'm Shelley. I live in San Francisco and I have a studio here. And I'm going to be going through some different things with you. I'll be making a couple different videos after this on what supplies you need. And then another one is kind of like step-by-step how to do a wax for yourself. So anyway, let's get started. As an esthetician, when somebody comes to me, I typically ask them if they're going to be doing their face or their eyebrows or something. I ask them if they're on Retinol, or if they have any other underlying health conditions that I need to know about. So retinol is something that you can just get anywhere. You can get it on Amazon, you can get it just over the counter. So if you use Retin-A, that's a prescription and your doctor has to prescribe it, typically a dermatologist. If you're on Retin-A, I typically suggest that you not use the Retin-A product for 5 to 7 days. That is the safest way so that you don't tear your skin before a wax. Tweezing, it doesn't matter, but waxing, it does matter. As far as retinol, it's a little bit lower, it's processed differently, and you don't have to avoid it, but I usually say about 3 days would be a good kind of sweet spot for that. I prefer retinol products myself. I do recommend them on my shop world on my website and also on my Amazon storefront, so you can check those out. They just hit your skin differently, but this is not that video. Okay, if you're going to use that, take precaution and just stop using it. You're going to be using those products at night anyway, so just don't use them. Use your regular daytime moisturizer as long as it doesn't have SPF in it. And that's another video because I don't recommend using SPF combination products. And I have a blog on that, a blog post, and my blog is called thefreckle.blog. You can check it out sometime. And anyway, you would want to take those things into consideration. What happens a lot of times is I'll get a client that comes in here and they say, oh, I went to this other person. Actually, she'll say, the esthetician burned my skin. We talk about it, we try to figure it out, and it's typically not a burn. It's typically a tear. And what happens is the skin with Retin-A becomes kind of thin and a bit dry. And so if you have any kind of dryness, like a little flake of dryness, once you pull the wax off, the skin just comes with it, and it does look like a burn, but it's usually not a burn. I mean, you would feel it and you would scream the moment the person put it on you if it was actually going to be burning you. So typically not that. That being said, if you have diabetes, sometimes you have to be a little more careful. If you are on something that's like a blood thinner, sometimes you have to be a little more careful with waxing. So all these types of things you want to tell your esthetician before you get started. If you're not going to see an esthetician, like what I'm doing for you today, just think about those things and look them up online, call your doctor, contact me. I'm happy to go over anything that I can with you. I'm not a doctor, but I can go over things through experience and put you in the right direction at least. With waxing at home, you need to figure out where on your body you're going to do it and where in your home you're going to do it. It is a bit of a messy process and you are going to need to buy several supplies. Okay, so let's see. You're going to need to have a wax pot, some protective covering, things like that. You're going to want some privacy. You don't want anybody walking in, like a roommate or somebody that you just don't want them to see you with your leg up in the air or something like that. So you have to think about all of these different things. Then you have to think of the worst case scenarios, like what do I do if I drop the wax pot? Or am I going to use the old-fashioned way, which was kind of like doing a double boiler, putting a pot of wax in there, or kind of cooking it on the stove in a way? Or are you going to invest in a wax pot and then be able to have temperature control? And then I have seen through my research that there are wax pots that only have like a 1 or 2 setting. I don't really like those. I like the dial type that you can kind of manipulate to get the perfect temperature. And we will be going over temperature as well in the next, So your other alternative to waxing is shaving. There's another alternative in the real world when we're allowed to go outside, which is threading, but that's usually for smaller areas. You don't want to do threading on your legs or anything. The other alternative is sugaring, and I have a video on sugaring, and you can make your own sugar wax, and for that you don't need strips like Pellon and muslin, which I'll be going over, but you do need to have sugar, water, lemon, and maybe a couple drops of essential oil. You can check that video out as well. So anyway, this was just kind of a prepare yourself. It's not just, oh, I'm gonna wax myself, let me get a wax pot and you're done. You have to really take into consideration certain things and make a good decision. And feel free to reach out to me anytime if you have questions, and I have set up an Amazon storefront. It's on my website. When you go to the top, there's like 3 little lines and you can click in there, and I have a section in the Amazon shop world, our storefront, called DIY waxing. I also have one for like hair and different things, all the supplies that you would need to DIY at home, because this is kind of a strange time. We're just still all in quarantine at the moment, but at some point we'll be let out. For some people, they've probably experienced financial devastation and they won't be going to see their favorite esthetician anymore. So I think that this is an important video and an important time to support each other. So feel free anytime to reach out. And again, I'm Shelley from Shelley Skincare. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.